Right, so welcome to the weekend review. And today we'll be going over the trades I took on NASDAQ this past week. And overall, this has been about good price action from price, right? It hasn't really been clean as I would expect it to be, but we did get some good trades. And I am seeing a lot of viewers being quite upset with NASDAQ because it isn't giving you your ideal setup, right? So I'll also talk about that quite a bit. So basically, I believe everyone is actually looking for your usual 930 manipulation profile, right? So they want to see price manipulate at 930 at either of the sides, and then they just want to take a reversal trade in the other direction. So that would most likely be a very good setup to take. Definitely is one of my favorite setups to trade, but that doesn't really mean that price will always give you that setup, right? And if you force yourself to see price in that view, you will most likely be forcing a pattern on price, right? Which is definitely not what we do. So before I begin, let's actually talk about the daily time frame here on NASDAQ. So just this daily fair value gap is more than enough to clearly determine where price is going to move, right? We had Monday right here, right? We had an inside candle on Monday, all right? So there's a lot more you see in candles than what you're usually used to. So the first thing which I would see is going to be your inside candle, all right? And especially on a Monday. So that just means that we have good consolidation on Monday, and the following day on Tuesday, we could get a trade, right? Especially if price manipulates below Monday's low or manipulates above Monday's high, right? So in this case, we did move below Monday's low. So we'll have a look at that on the lower time frames in a minute. So price pushes into this daily fair value gap, reacts perfectly off the 50%, right? So just trading candles, it doesn't really mean you just mark out your gaps and you know price is going to move in a certain way. It's also about understanding the narrative, right? So in terms of what I'm actually looking forward to, first would definitely be this fair value gap. Second would be if I can just drop the dealing range, all right, which is going to be from this swing high to this swing low, right? Now, why is this a dealing range? It's also dealing range because we took out liquidity right here, all right? So if I just move this to the side, you can see that price expanded, right? Consolidated, retracement, and expansion again, all right? So if you just want to be in a position, or if you want to take, let's say, a swing trade perspective, you would always like to trade away from these daily fair value gaps, right? That's what you want to do, trade away from them, and you would target your opposing liquidity, which will be these lows right here, all right? So I did make a tweet earlier as well, which spoke about this, so I'm just explaining that in detail, because just by looking at this daily time frame, you have clear clarity over price, all right? So let's go to the lower time frames and discuss the trades. So firstly, I like to go to the 15-minute, and I'll just turn on the sessions for the past 5 days. All right, so we have all of them set out right here, and now you can really look into trades. Right now, this is really how I like to visualize price, and that is quite good, right? So I do have the true day opening price, 8:30 opening price, and the 10 a.m. opening price. That's just my preference, and you can automatically turn on whichever ones you want if you do have the indicator. Now for the daily time frame, I'll just mark this as a horizontal line, just delete that. All right, so first things first, this is Monday, right? What do you see here on Monday? You see that Monday has consolidated, right? We have a nice consolidation here on Monday, and during London session, does it take out Asia's low? It does not. And does it take out Asia's high? It does not, right? So it just opened, moved lower, did not take out this liquidity pool right here, and just consolidated, right? Now, this is also called an inside range, all right? You can see Asia has a high and a low. London's range is within Asia's highs and lows, right? So that just means it's an inside range, which means the following session will give us good setups, right? Which is going to give us a good reaction from price, basically, right? So that's basically what it means. So in this case, we have consolidated beautifully here. We also tapped into, in this case, a fair value gap, right? You can see that this fair value gap is presented right here, and price taps it quite beautifully, especially at the 50%, right? So this might not be popular recently where anyone talks about the 50% of the fair value gap, but it does work quite well, all right? So whatever concepts which are quite popular, they usually tend to not work, or they do become popular because they do work, and by the time you actually learn it, it could be information that is not clearly presented, all right? So always do mark out the 50% of the fair value gap. That would be my suggestion for you. And also, what else do you see here? You see that there is a balanced price range, right? You have a bearish gap, bearish fair value gap right here, which was broken through and is now tested as support. Your ideal resistance to support theory applies here and price expands higher, right? So this is pretty good, right? Definitely something which I would consider for reading price, but no trades, all right? So at 10 a.m., what does price do? On New York session, we have a nice manipulation, right? So let me just go back here and show you how this works. So this high has been taken out and this high has been taken out as well, pre 9:30 open, all right? Just drop down to the 5-minute and get to Monday, all right? So what does price do here? Look at this beautiful New York manipulation, all right? This is really, really good, but I would not really suggest for a trade here because we didn't get an entry point, right? Probably on the 1 minute, you can definitely get one, but just based on the 5-minute, not much, all right? So you have your 2-day opening price right here. Price moves higher. Asia's high cleared out. London's high cleared out. A 3-drive pattern higher. Price pushes lower. We have a 5-minute beautiful fair value gap, right? Right there. Price taps beautifully into it, closes, doesn't really close above it, right? Just taps it and fills this fair value gap, and that is the move lower, right? Right after that, price just cascades lower, and you can just probably target these lows, right? That is all for the trade. So this was not a trade I did take on NASDAQ. I was just watching this, and I don't really like trading on Mondays especially, and not when we have taken out or cleared out these liquidity pools, right? I do know we have these lows intact here, but I don't really care much for that, right? So let's actually talk about, that is Monday, all right? So let's talk about the trade which I did take, which was on Tuesday, all right? So the trade on Tuesday was right here, and I'm sure you all can clearly figure out what the trade could be, all right? So once again, I'll just close it right here. Now, when you just open the charts, right? And you see that we have Asia expanded quite aggressively. That is a caution. That is something which you need to be cautious about, all right? Because whenever Asia expands, your rest of the session is not going to be ideal, right? So what do we do then? We just wait for London session. So definitely don't trade London session during that time. We skip London session and we wait to see what price does right after that, all right? So in this case, we have London session right here. We have 8:30 open right there, and we have 9:30 open right here, okay? So if I have to go back to observe this, so this move was also called a, so basically every move I'm outlining here has been called out live in real time in the university. So if you're interested in joining that, you can join in the link in the description. But here is the recap for what's going on, right? So this is how we open price. We open the charts at 9:15, and I did outline about 2 scenarios, right? But we are just looking at price to fade a particular level, right? So first is going to be London's low, and it's going to be this high, right? So we were cautious about Asia being expanding. So Asia expansion, of course, sorry. So we would expect to see price manipulate one side and we target the other side, right? That is all. It's basically simple. So we had this right there. We just wait for price to manipulate, right? So at 9:30, what does price do, right? This is as clear as day, guys, okay? We have really manipulated above a high, right? So what does price do? If it is going to manipulate above a high, it is going to move in the opposite direction, right? So where is it going to move? We have about 2 liquidity pools here. We have this low right there, which is right here at 8:40, right? 8:30, 8:35, and 8:40, right? It's close to your 8:30 open, so that makes sense. We do have London's low right here, okay? So price opens here, manipulates, and pushes lower. This is your clear accumulation, manipulation, and definitely distribution, which should follow, right? So this is as clear as it could get. There is basically nothing else to worry about, all right? So there can be buy short at this point, right? Take your short trade right there and target these lows. which is basically what we did, right? And we targeted these lows, and that was a beautiful exit right there, which was a move from here to here, right? I believe at 10 a.m. we also pushed lower, and in this case what did happen was there were two trades that we did take. All right, so this is not something which I did post, so I'll let you all know. The first was we did have a short right here, price didn't really take that out, and we pushed lower to these lows, right? And the second trade was right here, where price did manipulate right above these highs and then expand lower aggressively to London's lows, right? So as long as your liquidity pool is intact, you can take trades. All right, so whenever there are liquidity pools are not intact, they've been taken out, then you have to, or the ideal way would be to skip your position and wait for price to present itself again on a later time. All right, so that is the way to go. Whenever your liquidity pools are intact, you can take another jab at price. All right, that is basically what could be done here. So that was Tuesday, and that was a win. All right, so I did make a post on that as well, so I'm sure you all are aware of it. If you're not, you can follow my Twitter as well. The link is in the description, where I upload all of this quite quickly, right? Because making videos is quite a task. Okay, so that is Tuesday. So I'm sure this is quite clear. If you do have any questions, do let me know in the chat, and I will definitely get to them at the end of it. All right, so that was Tuesday. So Monday there was no trades, but you can see how price beautifully reacts to these fair value gaps, and it's all about choosing the right ones and also finding out which gaps price does move towards, right? So which can be which liquidity pool. So in this case, Asia's low and London's low is a very good drawn liquidity, and it's an A+ drawn liquidity in my books, and you can see price just get there. All right, so that is Monday. Tuesday was a win, and moving on to Wednesday, and I believe there was no trades on Wednesday here. Why is that? All right, if you understand basic power of three, this will be really easy for you to grasp. So the first is we have Asia, price just move, not much, that is good. Quite happy with that, right? It is not really clear expansion, just as it did on Tuesday. I'm sorry, on Monday's Asia session and starting of Tuesday. So we can see that it is a bit more of consolidation, right? And price moves lower. There is another consolidation once again during London session, right? I do consider this as consolidation. So as we did on Tuesday for the win, we do the exact same thing here. We mark out our liquidity pools. So in this case, your session liquidity pools, which will be London's high right here. We have equal highs. We have London's low right there. We have Asia's high right here. And we have Asia's low, which has been taken out. So we'll just leave it at that. All right. So price opens here at 8:30, pushes lower, right? What does it do here? It confirms manipulation right there. Okay, it is all power of three, guys. Okay, it is definitely all power of three. I've been showing this to you all from days now, and you all should be able to see it quite clearly here. We have manipulated below London's low, right? We have kind of have a three dry pattern once again. Price takes out this low, price takes out this low once again, around your 8:30 open, right? So this is your manipulation. So what does this mean? This means that at 9:30 is price going to distribute, right? What is price going to do at a time-based event, right? Or a news driver, as you'd like to call it. A news driver does either of two things. It's either going to manipulate price, or it's either going to distribute price, right? Nothing else. So if price is going to manipulate, it's going to reference the previous session, right? What did the previous session do? What phase of price was it in? Was it in accumulation? Then yes, the news driver will manipulate. Let's say your previous phase of price was manipulation, then the news driver will distribute, right? So in this case, what is your clear answer to this? At 9:30, you know that is the news driver, right? Equity is open. So before that, we have manipulated, which means at 9:30, we're going to distribute, right? And once again, this move was all live in the university. So if you are interested, you can check it out in the description. And what does price do here, right? 9:30, we just expand and we reach the objective, right? We also have equal highs. So price gets there. That is done, right? Now, we did call this move in the university. I'm quite transparent with this. I didn't take a trade here. It did move quite aggressively. I didn't really get an entry point, right? So what was the entry point I was looking for? The entry point was quite simple. I'm expecting price to open, move lower, right? I want to see this flat opening price right there at 9:30. I don't like to see it flat. I wanted to move lower to form that wick, right? That open high low close wick I wanted to form. We didn't really get that, so I just skipped the trade and that is done, right? We have nothing to worry about. There'll always be setups, and you can see that in the next day we did get a setup as well, right? So price doesn't form this wick, we don't take a trade. Price reaches these equal highs right here and moves higher, right? At 10 a.m., what does price do? We have an open, low, and high, right? And then we close somewhere here at 2 p.m. So somewhere right there. Okay, so we have an open, low, high, close. Where does this high form? It is already defined at Asia's high. Okay, so that is really where this high forms. There is no other place where price could form the high, right? So you also have to be aware of your daily levels at this point. But in this case, we know that Asia's high is what we should be looking forward to, and that is where price got to. All right, and that was your high of the day. This was your low of the day. So let's move to Thursday, where we did take a trade, and it was, I believe, a loss. All right. So I'll explain quite clearly the losses as well. So don't really be excited with the wins. We did have a lot of wins this month, but the losses are where we actually learn what's going on and how we can improve. All right. So this was Thursday, right? Now, just by looking at this chart, let me just close this right here. So just by looking at this chart, what do you all see? You see that we have Asia accumulation, right? Kind of, not really something that is ideal, but we do have Asia's high. We have London's high right here. So Asia's low has been taken out right here by London, so we don't need to mark that out. And London's low has been taken out as well, right? So liquidity pools to the downside have been exhausted, all right? So to the upside, that is where liquidity remains. So that is where our eye should target, right? Now, this move right here at 9:30 was what I was looking for. So in this case, you can see if I go back, on Monday, right, we do have Asia's low and Monday's low right here. So that is equal lows. You can see that price takes them out right here at 9:35. So if I go to the 1 hour time frame, probably see that quite better. So right here, you can see a clear swing low, right? There's clear liquidity right there. So price takes it, and we are going to consider that as manipulation, right? So price takes it out right here at 9:30. So in this case, what did we do? We have clear liquidity above, liquidity lower has been taken out. So we should be long, right? So at 9:30, price manipulates below, and this is where I thought that price is going to give us a 9:30 manipulation, right? I thought this was manipulation right here, and I did wait for confirmation, which I did get, all right? Now, what is the confirmation I looked for? A change in state of delivery, and of course, some sort of a value gaps, right? So in this case, what is the necessary of a value gaps? It shows that price does want to move higher, all right? So in this case, this is your change in state of delivery. Price closes above, and we do have a value gaps, right? So price returned into it. That is where I bought on this candle right there, 9:45, and I expected price to get here, but it didn't, and it just stopped me out right away. All right. So that was a loss for Thursday, and it is quite normal. All right. There's basically nothing to worry about. There will always be losses and winners, but as long as you follow your protocol, you will be good. All right. So that is the trade for Thursday, which was a loss. And this is where it gets interesting on Friday, which was the last day, and we did get a win, right? And this was basically a lot more dependent on your understanding of price rather than liquidity for Friday. All right. So this is just Friday right here. We have the opening price right there. What does price do, right? We have Asia's high right here, which is intact. So this could mean bullish, right? Not really. We have Asia's low right here. Okay. And what did I talk about or tell you all about your inside range? This is what it is, right? We have London's range, which is inside Asia's range, right? So we have an inside range on London, which means that New York will most likely expand, right? Now, which direction is it going to expand? That is the main question, right? Now, you will not be able to figure out, or even me, I will not be able to figure out where price is going when it's in the middle of the range, right? Especially if it is in the middle of Asia's range, right? So right here was when equities opened, right here at 9:30, okay? So you can see this candle right there. Probably everyone sold right here, okay? They probably marked out this CISD, and I kind of worked this price action in the university as well. I told you that most of your traders would be trying to short this move right there, and they want to target these equal lows. But we definitely need to wait for at least some sort of manipulation, all right? We need to see some sort of manipulation post 9:30, all right? That is the key here, time and price, guys, okay? So post 9:30, you need to see some sort of manipulation. So in this case, we closed right there and right here on this 5-minute candle. Okay, you see that at 9:35, that is just beautiful, right? That is your manipulation right there, which signaled to me that we are going to move lower to these lows, right? So after that, it was quite easy. Just go to the 1-minute chart for a trade. We had a beautiful fair value gap right here. So I'll just delete the CIST. So we had a 1-minute stop run or 1-minute trade on liquidity. Price just takes that. We have clear liquidity below us, which is in the form of Asia slow and I believe London slow as well, right? Yeah, London slow and Asia slow right there. So this was quite simple. Price gets in right there into this fair value gap. That is where you short. Before that, there was, of course, another confirmation where price did close through all these candles. So you can take a short on 937 as well, which is what I did. And then just target these lows, all right? So price just smashes lower and reaches the objective. And that is where I was done for Friday, all right? So that is the complete trade recap for the week, okay? So hopefully you all enjoyed and learned something from this trade. And those of you who are interested in the sessions, of course, once again, the link is in the description. You can join that. And for the rest of you, where do I believe price is going? I am definitely neutral at this point. All right. So I'm just looking at this chart right here on NASDAQ on the daily time frame. I was quite bearish here and this retracement here as well, but we did close above. And after that, I've been quite neutral. You can see in July, we did have the monthly open and price just cascaded lower. So I do believe we have to wait for the month of August, right? Where we could probably get some sort of confirmation if we are going to move higher or lower, right? So in this case, what I just see is we have taken out liquidity right there. We've taken out these liquidity pools as well. So I would be quite cautious right here because it does look like this could bottom out and price could move higher, but I'm definitely not confident in that, all right? So I will just wait. And if we do get some sort of confirmation like that, then I will definitely be here to tell you all about it. But until then, there's nothing I'm going to do here. I'm just going to remain neutral. The daily time frame doesn't really look good to me. Definitely not. We have a lot of consolidation. Quite expected since we had this expansion as well, right? So it is just quite normal for us to wait. And you will not really know your high time frame bias all the time. Just move to ES. You can probably see the exact same thing. We have the clear defined liquidity pool here. And in this case, we have taken out these equal lows. But does it really signal to me that we're going to move higher or lower? Nothing at all, all right? I basically don't see anything else. I just see this flat opening price right there. Price could get here. But other than that, I don't see anything for ES on the higher time frames. We have engineered liquidity lower and we have engineered liquidity above, right? Here and here, right? So both sides are clear defined liquidity pools, and this just means that our bias is going to remain neutral and we can't really focus or force our view on price. All right. So that is it for the stream, guys. Thank you all for joining, and I'll just take questions before I leave. All right. I believe Veets has a question. Yes. Sometimes when taking an entry from CIST, price doesn't come back to the CIST or OB, but breaks away and trades forward. Sometimes too, it comes to an FEG. How do you navigate on an entry in this? Right. Great question. And the answer for this is going to be at the Friday's trade, right? Your Friday's trade, which I did take on NASDAQ, that is where your answer lies. And it is going to be quite simple. You should either choose which array you want to trade in, all right? That is going to be the first thing. Are you comfortable with trading fair value gaps or are you comfortable with trading order blocks, right? So let's just say I just dropped this right here, okay? Now you see this move right there. You know there is liquidity right here, okay? Where does your eyes actually fall towards, right? Where does it actually land to? Is it landing at, let's say, a fair value gap that's going to form and you're quite comfortable waiting? Or just does it say, I should probably watch out for this order block right here? Or is it just say that we did get this closure through, let me just take a short right away, right? So we all are quite different. And this is something which I did learn after teaching a couple of students. I might be my eyes are trained to watch change in state of delivery and fair value gaps at the same time, right? Yours might not be that way. Yours might be, I like order blocks, I like this candle, I can do this in real time, okay? The question is not when you're going to identify this in hindsight, right? It's all about when you're just going to see it in real time. So in this case, you're just looking at this price action. What is the first thing you see? You see order block, you see CISD, you see fair value gap. That is the one you should choose, right? And only trade when price returns into that array, right? So in this case, it's quite unique because we did get through or get to this order block, I believe, right there. And that would be your entry, and you can just target lower prices, right? So you can definitely do that, or you can see that we did have a fair value gap as well. So you can probably take a short from the fair value gap as well, right? So you either choose which array you want to trade in, and that is the one you focus on. And if you do get an entry, you take it. If there's no entry, you move on, right? That's the best way to go about it. So since that's the question for today, I will end the stream right here. And thank you all for joining. And I shall speak to you all once again next week. All right. So take care and stay safe, guys. And I'll speak to you all then. Bye-bye.